Hey y'all, I'm back. How are you? Come on in the room. Come chat with me. It's Paris. Um, you already know what this is if you've been on here before. It's Conversations from Paris, and I'm back. And if you haven't been on here before, this is a show where we talk about mental health advocacy and we talk about mental health issues that you don't dare talk about at home or with your friends that you need to talk about, and just opening the conversation more. So, and you know what? It's not just mental health issues. I really want to get out of that, even that wording. We just talk about issues, and then I show you how to relate to the fact that it does affect your mental health, and you don't realize it, right? So, um, y'all come on in. I just invited the people on my other page to come on. I want you guys to come in, say hi when you're here so I can know. For everybody who I didn't show up on Thursday that was there or didn't see that I wasn't going to be there, I apologize. I was not feeling well, and it was one of those things I just could not push through. And when we speak about self-care, which I just did the last time I was on, as far as the last month, um, you really have to listen to your body. And I tell people all the time, if you do not listen to it, it will shut you down. And mine did a little shut down. I am on the mend. I'm feeling much better. So thanks for everybody who reached out and checked on me. But I am fine. I am ready to get into this today. I am excited about this topic today. Um, you guys, if you're here, let me know. I'm actually going to let's see, going to um, invite a few people, and I want you guys to invite a few as well, so that you guys can actually what am I trying to say? I'm sorry. I want you guys to invite a few people as well so that we can all have this conversation about this topic that I think way more people need to talk about. I feel like too many people think anxiety is a one sided thing, and it really has nothing to do with them. And this topic today, I'm sure you guys see what it is already. I think it's going to reach a group of people that we don't really talk about. We think that they are absent from this conversation, that it's not a conversation about them. So um, I'm excited about it because unfortunately I think it's too many people, and we're not honest enough about it, or we don't realize what it is. And so let's talk about it. So I'm inviting a few more people, and then we're gonna start out. Let's see. All right, I'm going. All right, guys. So, if you can guess, well, you don't have to guess. You could just look. The conversation today is about. First of all, the series is anxiety talks. That's my whole series for this month. The reason I want to talk about it is because anxiety is the number one mental health issue that is in the world. Okay, not just in U.S., in the world. And so many people suffer from it from one point into their life. Um, and to different varying degrees. I did give a definition just in case you missed it. Anxiety is just a response to stress, meaning that everybody has anxiety. The difference is the level, right? And how extreme it can get, right? So it's not necessarily a horrible thing to have anxiety. It's just to know what to do when you get it. And to understand if you have an overabundance of it, and to what we can do and how you can operate with it. And so that's what the whole series this month is about, is anxiety. Trust me, it's enough enough topics within this topic in order for us to talk for much longer than a month, but that's where we're at. And so today I figured we're going to talk about high functioning anxiety, or people who deal with high functioning people that deal with anxiety, and what that looks like, and how a lot of times we don't look at it as anxiety, right? Okay, so let me get to my notes. um, okay. All right. So when I say high functioning anxiety, um, I have a couple of things that um, I really want to put out there for the word. I don't know. So I have a definition. um, and I don't know if this is like I want to use the word. I don't, there wasn't like one definition, right? Because I think technically it's not a, a mental health term. It is a term, but it's not a class disorder, if that makes sense, right? So, you know, this is not something that you can go in and they'll necessarily classify you as having high functioning anxiety. However, in psychology, in this field, it is definitely something that um, is well known and well talked about because of um, how easy it is to be disguised, right? And I tend to believe that a lot of highly successful people, or people that are deemed highly successful, suffer from it and are not getting the help they need, nor do they really identify with needing help, or people don't even think that they need help because of the traits of what it looks like on the outside, right? And I know I talked about it the month before. Um, let's not spend more time on looking like we have it together than having it together, right? I don't want us to be a people that do that. If we've been doing that for too long, the idea of, okay, I want to look like I have it all right. Okay, let me show that I'm good. Let me show I'm all right. Listen, if I'm not all right, it's, I too have that issue. Um, but I'm getting to a point where I don't want to just seem okay. Okay, I don't want to put on a front, and usually we do it out of ways of, well, I don't want people to worry about me, or I don't want to alarm anybody, or I must be, this is such a small problem compared to everybody else's issue, so I don't want to say anything. And it's the wrong way to look at it. It's the wrong way to really identify this thing. So I really want us to talk about it in depth. So when I say high functioning anxiety, I found a definition that I love, and it's not really a definition per se, but I'm gonna give it to you. It says efficiently anxious people that appear to be coping with their daily lives and responsibilities. They're often looked at as admirable. People are inspired by them. They are what people say success looks like. Um, they are called driven and excellent. Those are the words that are used to describe them. They are always willing to serve and help others. And yet, under that perfect exterior, they are constantly battling with anxiety. I love that definition because for me, that was it, it kind of brung it in home, right? Because although people use those great terms to describe them, they are battling with anxiety, and it's not recognized. See, when you think of anxiety, when me and you think of anxiety, or in the past when I used to think of anxiety, hey Kiana girl, you would just think of somebody who's biting their nails and is nervous and they're jumpy and all those things, but you don't realize that that's just a very small percentage, that it actually, it really, what is that called? It spans across so many more, um, um, how do you use the word? Personality types, right? And categories. And I think that you continue to look for signs that only are associated with the way that, the most common ones, then you will miss out on understanding if you yourself are dealing with it, or somebody and care about is dealing with it. And the reason you want to know if somebody else is dealing with it is because I don't want somebody I love to be suffering in silence. I want to let them know that they have support. I want to let them know that, hey, let's figure out what we can do, and offer any help I can to them. And if it's me, I want to not be suffering in silence. I want to figure out what I can do to do better, right? Because again, what's the point of looking like we're healed and whole and not actually, doing well? So I'm going to read that definition one more time because I just really think it's such a good one. Um, Efficiently anxious people that appear to be coping with their daily lives and responsibilities. They are often looked at as admirable. Um, they often looked at as being, they inspire a lot of people. People say that's what the success looks like. They are constantly called driven and excellent. And they are always willing to serve and help others. They're a lot of times called selfless. And yet, under what might be called a perfect exterior, they are constantly battling with anxiety. And so that is something that we need to talk about, because I think that uh, I don't want us to be here, right? I don't want us to be living a life and we're trying to operate in excellence to the best of our abilities, and yet we are living a life full of anxiety. We are dealing with things that we dare not speak about because it will mess up our image. We dare not speak of it because people think that we got it all together. We dare not speak of it because we don't want to mess up anybody else's life. Like, we don't want to do that, but we're not serving ourselves. And that might sound selfish to you, but it's not. If I can't, if I'm not going to do the best I can, hey, Mama Pat, if I'm not going to take care of me, how can I take care of everybody else? I always tell you, you can't pour from an empty cup. So, that whole idea that um, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want anybody to think that I'm not who I say I am. Enough of that. Time out for that. I want us to be well. I want us to be whole. Okay. So that was one definition that I really, really, I liked. Here's a couple of things that I wrote down as the two sides of high functioning anxiety, right? Um, uh, what a lot of time people see is that they have a high um, accuracy level, right? That they hit a lot of their targets. Like, okay, hey, I checked this off, I checked that off, I'm doing good. A lot of time people see that they are proactive. That is a really good way to say that they are in front of the ball instead of behind. A lot of times they're very social. They have no problem interacting with people, taking opportunity when it's in front of them, which is amazing. They have the ability to appear calm regularly, right? They look like they have it all together, right? When deadlines come, they meet these deadlines. They make sure of it. This is something that's important to them, so they get it done, right? By any means necessary. They are highly organized people, right? They make sure that their life is organized to the T, which is great. And all these things I'm saying is great. So this list I'm telling you right now, nothing's wrong with this list I'm giving you. This is a good list. These are things to really want to be, right? And aspire to be, right? I mean, they're hardworking. So those are just some really good positive things that we might say for somebody that's high functioning. Here are some of the negative things, right? Sometimes they deal with a fear of failure. Y'all hear me talk about this all the time. A fear of failure. They secretly don't want to fail. And sometimes that drives them into doing things that you would just be surprised that they do behind the scenes because they don't want to fail. This includes staying up for 72 hours in a row. This includes for, selling their things and living in their car. This includes all these different things that are just, you're like, whoa, they're doing that because they just can't fail. And although a lot of times those, you hear about the inspirational side of those stories, but sometimes you don't hear about the people who are doing that, um, and then it doesn't work out, right? See, what you guys hear about is the inspirational stories that they push, and then it works out, and it was always worth it. But we don't see about all the countless others that push, and it didn't, and it actually pushed them into a darker space. So we have to be very careful with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you don't work hard. I'm not saying not push it, but I'm saying that we have to be careful of the fear of failure, because the fear of failure will drive you to do some desperate things, and we want to be very careful we don't go that way, right? We don't want to be desperate. We want to do things in a level of excellence, but not perfection. And that leads to my next point: perfectionism. A lot of times people in this field are very much perfectionists, and I, Paris Johnson, just so you know, just in case you weren't sure, yes, I have been in this category. I am working hard to not be in this category anymore, but I definitely was. And I'm working hard to make sure that I don't slide back in there, right? And the only reason I'm not right back there is because I am trying to be very intentional, right? I'm trying to be very um emotionally intelligent about my moves. I'm being self-aware so I don't get back here. Because I could probably check off everything on the list. So this one here about perfectionism, baby, it was me. Absolutely. I definitely did not want to fail at anything. And I wanted to get it to a T. I wanted to be the one. I wanted to be the one that, had it all together. And I wanted to be perfect. And I used to say that word all the time. I wanted to be perfect. I want to get a perfect 100. That was important to me until I started to realize that perfection is not the goal. It should not be the goal. What should be the goal is excellence. I always say that. You guys hear me kind of saying it. I don't want to be perfect, nor do I need to be perfect. I don't want nor need my son to be perfect. I want him to be excellent. And excellence literally at this point means your your best effort. Your best effort. And if you're putting your best effort in there, you cannot help to get an excellent effort, and that's what's really needed. Okay. So that's one of the things I want to point out. Um another another negative thing a high functioning person can be is self-critical. Oftentimes they are the most critical person about themselves. Everyone else has nice things to say, but they say such ugly and horrible things to themselves, debilitating things to themselves, oftentimes, and that are just, you'll be surprised what type of things they say to themselves. Their self-talk is so negative, and they can inspire everybody else. Hey mom. They can inspire everybody else. They can say wonderful things to everybody else, but they say such ugly things inside. Like, oh, that was stupid. Why'd you do that? That was so dumb. Oh my God, you can't even get it right on the first try. And they're beating themselves up internally, emotionally, and they are not forgiving. They don't give themselves grace. So we don't want to get there. That's something that's really dangerous with high functioning individuals. That they often don't. They're not very forgiving to themselves, right? Um, racing thoughts. You ever had someone talk about the racing thoughts, how their mind goes a mile a minute? I know I've talked about it. Sometimes when my mind is at real high capacity, I really do get there. Like I'm just, and sometimes people wear that as a badge of honor. Yeah, my mind works like a high functioning computer, the CPU, blah, blah, blah. And, it might be true, but we have to be careful that you're not getting to this manic moment where your thoughts are like, and you're literally so, like, they're so caught up where you're not even able to concentrate. Like you're trying to perform a task and you can't because you're literally caught up. And it gets to the point. I don't know if you guys ever been there, but if you've not been there, it can be debilitating. Mama Pat, you said what I was about to say. It can be so bad that you can't sleep. Oh my God, it's the number one thing, especially when it's at night and I'm doing some work and I'm up oh my God, that my thoughts will keep me up. It's just racing, 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 racing. The one good thing is that I've learned to not, at least mine are not usually worries. I mean, I usually try to pull that off. Like I don't worry, I put it somewhere else. But it's like my mind just thinking about the next thing. What's going on? What do I have to do? Blah, 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 blah. You know, and it's like not being able to turn that off is exhausting. It is exhausting, emotionally, mentally, physically exhausting. And it will keep you from being your best version of you because you are exhausted like that. I remember when I've been in some of my most high anxiety moments is when I literally think about how I didn't sleep more than a few hours a night. And that's really horrible for you and your body, your mind, and all those things. So it's not something that you should brag about. It's not really good. And then it's very much torturous. So, that's another negative side of the high functioning personality. It leads to the next part, often exhausted and fatigued. Often exhausted and fatigued. Sometimes we wear fatigue as a sign of badge of honor. Like, oh, I had to do this, and that. Yeah, I did, but I got it done. I did this, and that, and this. But I got it done. Oh, I'm a multitasker. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I also go to school. I take care of the kids. I clean the house. And don't get me wrong. Sometimes in your life, in a season, you have to do all those things. But sometimes we do we get something from it. We like to wear the hats, right? Because people look at you like, "Oh my God, how do you do all of those things?" And whether we know it or not, let's be honest, we do things that we want to do a thing if it didn't feed us, right? Meaning I'm not going to continue to do something that's not feeding me in some way. And whether or not you acknowledge how it's feeding you, that's it. I know that um if I'm assigned a task, I'm gonna do it to excellence every time. But I also realized part of that for me was I was a people pleaser. I didn't want people to look at me in a certain way and say that I was less than, or I didn't want people to be disappointed in me, or I didn't want people to be mad at me or say that I didn't do a good job. It was very important to me what people thought. Even if something was on me and it was so many things on me that was gonna break me, I would just still perform with all these weights on me, with all these hats on me, with all these tasks on me, because I didn't want people to think I couldn't handle it. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? There were moments in my life where I could not handle all of the different things that were on me, but I would not ask for help. I wouldn't say, no, I can't do this. I would just do it, even if it broke me, because I did not want people to think that I couldn't do it. There's some pride in there. I know you hear the undertones of it, but it was also the people pleasing thing, right? And I believe even in high functioning personalities, um, that's where a lot of anxiety comes in too, because they don't want to look like they dropped something. They don't want to look like they did not do a thing to completion. And we have to be super careful about that. You got to understand those things that you are holding that causes you to try to juggle all these different things, so much so that it's really literally breaking you down. So extreme exhaustion and fatigue are definitely no-nos. Um, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I don't have that one all the way under control. Did I have that one all the way under control? Because I don't. I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's something I still struggle with. I struggle with the trying to get it all done. But I am learning that I'm gonna do what I can do in the best of my ability. And when I can't do it, I'm going to, if I'm exhausted, I'm going to take some rest. I'm going to do that because I can't be 100% if I don't have the rest, right? Okay. um okay, here's another one. Well, I said that one kind of. They're afraid of disappointing others. That's the fear of people. Like that's a real thing, or people pleasing. Here's the last one. Procrastinates when they're stressed. Oh my God, let me tell y'all something. I never knew how much I um would procrastinate when I was exhausted and stressed and overworked and overwhelmed. Um, until I really sat down and looked at it. Every time I had like a major thing to do, I would think that I was just lazy because I waited to the last minute. And really, if I look back at it, I never really waited till the last minute. I would always attempt to start a thing, and I would sit down to start it several different times. And it's just like every time I would try it, it was like a distraction or this and that, and all that happened or something, it would something would flow. I would have writer's block. Something so easily would take me away from it. And I would just think that I was just a distracted person until I read this book, and I gotta remember what the book's name is, but the psychiatrist was saying that um, a lot of times that's because you're literally super stressed, and what's happening is your brain is trying to protect itself. Like you're trying to have it to produce something, and you don't have anything else. It's like trying to squeeze, what is it, squeeze water out of a turnip. Is that the terminology, guys? Help me out. Squeezing water out of a turnip, whatever. What the point of it is that you're trying to get something out of something where there's nothing else left. Like I literally like stretched my brain as much as I could in that moment, and it's nothing else to give, because I'm at such this high level of like it's like the CPU is like overloaded. You guys, I'll give you an analogy, like with your computer. You ever had your computer like literally like the CPU usage is at 100%, and like nothing's really working, and it's like you can't do anything. None of the programs are like functioning. They say they're open, but they're really not functioning. And it's because you are at your top and you're literally running on fumes. Your computer's overheating and you're literally like, and so what happens oftentimes is that you think that you're being lazy, but really what it is that you've attempted to do this, and your body and your brain is just like, yep, no, it's not there. And so now we literally have to pull back and be able to say, you know what, let's evaluate what state I'm in. And that's definitely a part of anxiety, where you're procrastinating because you just can't. You're so stressed. Your body is just on. It's like your mind, your energy, everything is just completely tied up. And so again, that's not something you want to do. It's not good for you. It's not helpful. And so we want to make sure that we can go ahead and notice these symptoms, right? So if you know that you've had any of these things, and this is you that I'm talking about, and again, it's so easy to not realize it and miss it, and not to want to admit it. And it might not be every single day for you, but it might be, and not everything every single day, but some of them every once in a while. The point is for you to acknowledge that you deal with it, and figure out what tools you can use to not go there, right? Let's see. I have a couple of other signs. Here's some signs of people around you, if it's not you, that might have it, that you can help you out. Oh, here it is. The fear of not doing enough, right? Oh my God. Like, come on, listen, y'all. This is me. I have had this fear most of my life. I'm going to be honest, that I am not doing enough. It is the biggest trick of the enemy that there is. It is the biggest mind manipulative, deceptive thought you can have. It's the biggest defeating thought you can have. And most people don't really voice it. Or if they do voice it, people might give them, oh, you're doing fine. But I always tell people, what you tell yourself is so much more powerful than what other people tell you. I mean, don't get me wrong, encouragement is great and it's necessary. But if you are telling yourself that you're not doing enough, your actions, your body, your mind, everything will work together to keep you in overload, because you believe in your heart that you're not doing enough. Y'all, we got to be careful with that. Remember, I tell you guys, like, death to the superwoman, death to the superman. It's not real. It's not real. You are a person. Don't get me wrong, be everything that you're supposed to be. Walk in everything you're supposed to walk into. push if you're supposed to push when you're supposed to push. But going into burnout and then telling yourself, I can't stop, and being in long periods of burnout and long periods of hard work literally is not helping you at all. Because at best, you're going to push out something that is not going to be your best, and it's not going to help out. It's not going to even be an excellence like you think it is, because you're exhausted, and then you're not going to create best you can with. And some people even tell themselves, I used to tell myself this, oh, I do so much better when I'm at the, when it's the crunch time. Come on, give me crunch time out. I do much better. We tell ourselves that. We really literally tell ourselves that. I work so much better under stressful situations. I work so much better when, time is on the line. And you convince yourself of that. And now you're in this, always finding yourself creating these stressful points for you to create that, and don't realize that you're not even creating it the best, because this is just what you think, because this is what you've always known. Okay, so don't fall into that, or don't, if you see somebody fall into that, we did talk about that. Let's see. Oh, another one is being overly busy due to fear of saying no. Come on, how many times I tell you about boundaries? All this stuff comes up, and it's all real and it's all related. If you're not willing to say no, you will always be exhausted. You will always be doing too much, because you will then have something else called false burdens on your plate, right? That is something I've always had as well. Just always doing more than I was ever supposed to do, doing things, people, dealing with people that were not assigned to me. Doing things that never was really my responsibility, and still trying to do what is our responsibility, and being exhausted about it. And then when things go wrong and I tap out for whatever reason, and then people have the nerve and audacity to say, well, you didn't have to do that, you could have said no if you just wanted to. And it's like, did you not, beg me to do that? But then that's when I realized it's not their responsibility to say no, it's my responsibility. So I have to be my own advocate. I have to be able to say no and have boundaries and be okay and stand on those things, right? Even if they do get upset, right? That's when you stand in your identity and know who you are, and realize that, you don't have to do it all. I even tell people, I don't want to do everything. I just want to do the things that I need to do and do them well. Because if I do everything, I'm spread too thin, and I'm not able to do things in excellence. Don't get me wrong. There are people that are able to multitask masterfully, but that's not everybody. And even those people probably could do more, and they still are only doing a limited amount of things. You still can't do everything, and can't do everything well at that. So keep that in mind. If you want to do certain things well, you might have to say no to some things, okay? And people who care about you or respect you will respect that and not make you feel bad about that. Let's see. Here's one that's a big red flag. When your routine gets disrupted, you get upset. How often have you seen somebody that seems so joyous and wonderful and great, and as soon as the routine that they're used to gets one little thing that goes, a little different, they get so stressed, so mad, they want to yell, they want to argue, they want to fight. You're like, whoa, what happened here? Or has that been you, where everything's good and then something goes, one little thing goes off, and you feel yourself turning into a tornado, Tasmanian devil, or something like that? Oftentimes that's because you put so much pressure on the schedule. You put so much pressure on the routine. Have you ever had, like, I always saw, I hear some people say, oh, I run a tight ship, meaning like, hey, at 8 a.m. I do this, 8:15 I do this, 8:30 I do this. And again, it's nothing wrong with being organized. I am not attacking organization. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. What I am saying is that we have to think about if there is anxiety that's pushing that. And if you get to the point where one little thing comes off of the rail and now your whole day is messed up, and some days it happens like that, right? But it shouldn't be every single time one little thing goes off, you're going off. If it is, that tells you something about what you're doing is too stuffed at the seams, which means that anything pokes at it's gonna explode, and you don't want to be that. That's how you know that you have anxiety behind that. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, don't get me wrong. We like things to go a certain way, but if they don't, to the point where you're getting upset, You got to be careful with that and figure out what we can do to make sure that you're not, you're not always having um, this stuff is not actually driven by anxiety and not ambition, right? It's good to want to do things, but to doing it at the expense of yourself is not what we want to do. Or I'm powering through it. This is what I have to do. It's this internal suffering that sometimes we feel like we have to do. We get to a point where we tell ourselves that this is what I have to do to do. People that are successful, they have to push and suffer and deal with this, and this is what it is. And don't get me wrong, hard work is just what it is. It's hard work. But we have to be careful where the difference is that I do this and I never am happy about it. I literally just feel like I'm always exhausted. You have to get to a point where you reevaluate your life and realize, am I working hard and able to have like periods where I do push myself, but then I'm able to relax and be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor? Or is it just always push, 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 push? Hey, Crystal girl, hey. We have to be careful about that. Um, this badge of exhaustion, this badge of, I do a million things, this badge of I'm a superwoman, this badge Superman. I do these, these amazing things. Um, but then there's no balance. You know how I feel about extremes, right? I am anti-extreme. Like, I do not, extremes are really dangerous. We don't want too many highs, too many lows. We want a balance. So if you're doing all these amazing things, there shouldn't be constant stress, 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 stress. It should be that, hey, I worked hard, but here I also do this. I love the terminology. I play hard. I work hard, and I play just as hard as I work. Or am I saying it wrong? Um, I work hard, so I play hard too. It's to show that we have balance in life, right? It's to show that we understand that I work hard so I can play hard. You know, um, I can enjoy the fruits of my labor now that I've done that. This might be the percentage that I work, but this is the percentage that I enjoy my family, my friends, my hobbies, whatever it is that I enjoy. Um, that there should always be a balance. And if you find yourself that you are 90% working hard and stressed out to the edge and 10% enjoying life, then we might have to look at that, right? We got to figure out what to do different. I'm not saying don't work towards your dreams. What I'm saying is that, what are we doing? Is everything that we're doing necessary? And if so, um, what can we do to better insert um, um, more pleasure? Is it get more, is it get some help? Is it hire help? Is it to outsource some things that we are doing? Is it to I like that, Crystal, work smarter and not harder? Is it to make sure that we are doing only the necessary things in a really busy season? Is sometimes I think we want to start things when we haven't even really found a pace yet, right? And that has to be important. That's something I tell myself now often too. I cannot start something when I'm like, if I'm just basically learning how to ride a bike, what I shouldn't be trying to learn how to do at the same exact time is trying to, ride it with no handlebars. Like, I first got to take off the training wheels. Then once I get the balance from that, then maybe I can try other tricks. But let me first get very solid in it. Like, the moment I learn how to ride it without the handlebars is not when I push it to now want to ride it with no hands. Like, there has to be momentum that's gained. We have to realize that we have to master certain things in order to move to the next thing. And if we're not doing that, we often find ourselves overwhelmed because we're just trying to pile on, and there's not a firm foundation yet. You got to be careful that the foundation that you're building on is firm before you stack something else on top of it, right? You don't want to just be, I find some people are just want to acquire titles, more titles. I do this, I do that, I did this, I did that. That's wonderful. But you want to get to a point where do this and do it well, that you're in that arena so that you can now step away from it for a second to do something else. And what you've built is now is striving, is thriving without you having to be on it every 2 seconds, right? It's just a matter of making sure that you are building and you're not kind of half building, building half of this. Like, if you're building a house and you start down with the basement and then you move up towards this part, you do that, you're not going to have a solid house because you got to build that foundation first and then build it layer by layer by layer. And some things you can build in concurrent stages, but most things you really have to build it the right way, right? So these are just things that we want to talk about. Hey, Deborah girl, these are things we want to talk about when we talk about the high functioning individual and high functioning anxiety. Um, you know, we don't talk about this enough. We don't think it exists because it looks pretty. What you built looks great. You get a lot of congratulations. Oh, you doing the thing. You bringing it. You bring this out. I love it. You just continue. You always doing something new. Dad, girl, dad, man, you just always on the ball. And we don't realize that oftentimes that person is burnt out. They are on edge, and they really need somebody to kind of help them pull them back and say, hey, let's create some balance. Let's uh I love that, Crystal. Sustainability, absolutely. Making sure that we are not just doing, you know we don't want to be caught up in the idea that the more we do adds value to who we are as a person. I don't think we want to. I don't think we say those things out loud, but to be honest, I think a lot of us actually believe that. We really do. We get to a point where the applause gets louder than the logic. I'll say it again. The applause gets louder than the logic. People say how great you're doing, and you just like, oh, thank you, and now you want more. You could. I mean, listen, I'm you don't have to admit it. I'm gonna admit it. I know what it feels like to get excited to finally be working in purpose, finally be doing something that you love, and you get all these ideas and everything. The blood is pumping through your ear. You're creative now, and you're like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. Yes, I want to do this. Or people say, oh, you should do this, and oh my God, that's another thing. When people tell you what you should be doing, you feel like a failure if you don't do it because they see it in you. They see the abilities that you do. Oh, you need to do this, Paris, do that, or do this, and you now your mind is ultra on. Now you feel less than if you don't do these things that they say that you should do. And a lot of times it's not so much that I can't do them or I shouldn't do them. All these opportunities are for me, but I do believe that again, it is divine timing that's necessary. You have to know if it's for you in the season, and you have to keep one step in front of the other. Like you have to keep things in order and not take on more in your plate than you can. Like you ever remember the old folks used to say, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Your stomach is bigger than your eyes. Wait. Eyes are bigger than the stomach. Um, that's we they used to always say when you want to eat more food than you really could eat. That's exactly what happens here. You start to get the bug, and you like, oh my God, I could do this, and that, and it's because our mind does work like that. It's like yes, 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 yes. It's like kids, they want to, oh, I want to go to the park, I want to do this, I want to do that, and when they're so excited, they just want to do all these things, and they really believe they can do it. And then what happens? The kid falls asleep in the back of the car on the way to the next thing that they're doing because they don't even realize that they really can't even contain all of that and do all of that, right? Same thing with us. You can be excited about it, but making sure your plan of execution is in order and that you're not doing things before you're supposed to do them, and that you're you're not taking on more than you can, or allowing people to place more on you than you're supposed to do in that moment. And Debbie, you said the more you do doesn't matter. Yes, that is real. Like when you do more and it's not adding value to your life, you when you realize that you're doing more and you're more grumpy, when you realize that you're doing more and you're really not as effective as you thought you were. Like we just have to be very honest about our assignments and understanding what we can do and what we shouldn't be doing and what we should. So you know, one of the things that we really can help if you are dealing with this on a really strong level, is therapy. You know how I feel about therapy. I am a high advocate of it. It is going to help to talk to somebody on a regular basis, because if you're a highly successful person, and listen, y'all see it in Hollywood or different places, they will all talk about therapy because they need, once you get to a certain level and a success point in life, they all have therapists. You know why? Because their life is so busy, so moving. It's doing all this. They have all these things going on. They have to have somebody that keeps them balanced and level and bring them back to reality and reassess where they're at, and are they really happy? Is this something they need to do? Are the people around them really for them? um are they sleeping well at night? Are they having these anxious moments? Is the anxiety building up? Somebody that they can have these real conversations with. And so um if you are somebody that is successful in any point in your life or any place in your life, and you're doing a thing, um, I suggest that you definitely do look out for these things. Look out for these these signs, these symptoms, so that we're not operating under this. And listen, if you do know that you are operating this way and you don't really know what to do with it, I definitely suggest therapy, talking to someone. They'll teach you proper techniques, how to manage these anxiety symptoms. And there's some things you could do without therapy, like deep breathing, meditation. There are a lot of different things you can do. But I just wanted to bring this up. I just thought this was a great topic because I just believe, again, not enough people are talking about it. Everybody wants to be up there, want to be successful and all these things, and they don't understand the other side of the mountain that people don't talk about. People don't really talk about how when you get higher, that sometimes you're going to lose some friends, and what to do when you do lose those friends, and for reasons you don't even understand. What happens when you have more problems because you have more money? What happens? My pastor said something about there's trauma to success. And it's so funny, I never thought about that, nor that I think it was a real thing, until you think about, even, let's give an example, lottery ticket winners, right? You win all this big amount of money in a short period of time, and you most likely had almost no money, and then you win all this money. Now you literally are thrust into a life that you were never prepared for. You were not prepared for this life, and now you're here and you're expected to know how to operate. Trust the people that's around you. Trust that they're around you for the right reason. Trust the people that you've known all your life, that they didn't change because of what you now have. All these different things that you never had to deal with before. um and the words of Biggie, more money, more problems. Was it Biggie? I think it was Biggie. If I'm wrong, y'all let me know. But the idea of it is the same. More responsibility. You have to really be more diligent about your mental health. Be more diligent about you, because you're pouring out, pouring out, pouring out. You have to make sure that you're being poured into, and that your cup is not going empty. And it's not a sin to ask for help. And matter of fact, I think I want you guys to know, not only is it not a sin, it is wise. Remember, I told you about being a whole person, a whole individual. Well, being whole, that's mental, physical, emotional, financial, all of that, spiritual, all of those things. You got to make sure that you are whole relationally, all of those things. And in doing that, you need to make sure that you have people in your life that are going to keep you accountable. And you know what I feel about a therapist. So hopefully this is a helpful topic, guys. If you're just coming in, I'm getting out. I took a little bit longer than I thought because I just am really passionate about this. I know too many people, again, including myself, that have dealt with things like this, and it's not really talked about enough, right? And it just seems like, oh, this is just part of what you want. No, listen, we can deal with these things in a better way, and we need to understand that these these transitions in life come with certain own set of problems, and understanding and how being able to deal with these problems as they come along. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. Please, 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 please share this with someone you don't know who could use it. I'm telling you, there's someone you know that is successful, that's doing well, that needs to hear these words, that needs to understand they're not alone, that needs to understand what they can do to kind of counteract the weight of success and doing well. and making sure that we're not miserable and suffering internally when we can have help. Okay. Yes. So I love you guys. I will see you guys on Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks for guys for coming in and checking with me. And um, like I always say, you are enough because you are. You are great. Even if you haven't, even if you don't think you accomplished anything great lately, I want you to know you're amazing. And just as you are, you're enough. You don't need a reason for people to love you. You don't need a reason for you to wake up and look in your mirror and say that you're enough or you're a great person. Um, just know it, just as you are. Don't have to take anything away. You don't have to add anything. You are enough just as you are. And also, I forgot to tell you guys, I'm doing a rally right now. I'm gonna get you guys an opinion about YouTube. I'm thinking to moving to YouTube because I really kind of want to move off of Facebook at some point and have my talks on YouTube solely. So you guys tell me what you think about that. If you think that's a horrible idea because you don't use YouTube, let me know. But it's really what I want to do. So I might start doing that sooner than later. But I don't want to lose people if they're just used to only coming on Facebook. So um, put in the comments what you think about that. If you don't want to put it in a comment, put it in the inbox, please do that. Also, I'm doing a rally in TikTok. Please come on TikTok. I do shorter, much shorter videos on there, and I have a lot of exciting content coming on. So if you're somebody that can't sit in these hour talks, that's fine. Or you know somebody who really just needs a moment of inspiration, Conversations from Paris is my handle on TikTok. I do a lot of videos on there. So please, I think I have like less than 85 people to my thousands, so I can go live on TikTok because there's a whole community of people that need to know about this mental health stuff. And I know it. And so I just need to go live so they can get to hear it. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you later.